Love is Blind is no longer fun. Every single time I open up social media, I see Uchi tells all on Instagram, literally giving spoilers for the show, or the producers say, oh, we had no idea that Uchi and Izzy were a couple before the show. Like, that was all on them. We gave them the option to leave and they chose to stay. Oh, did you know that there were 2 other couples that they did filming for but decided not to show? That's why we have 3 couples instead of the normal 5. And some of them actually went to Mexico. I do not want a show where most of the actual drama and everything that's going on is happening in real life. I understand that reality TV is not real, but I want some kind of facade that what I'm seeing is real. I want a love story. I want a love story with drama, and that's why I watch Love is Blind. That's why we all watch Love is Blind. So the idea that they decided to give us this season of the show is honestly absurd. They filmed at the same time that they filmed season 4. And honestly, there was no reason for them to go ahead with this season, especially because I honestly believe that none of these couples work out. Going into watching episode 5, I had no hope. And by the time I left episode 9, I was wondering, why is this season even a thing? Hi y'all, I'm Kaya Simone. Welcome to my channel. And today we're talking about episodes 5 through 9 of Love is Blind. A show that sold us on love, but gives us no love. In my very first video on this season, my title was, this season, Love is Blind chose violence. I thought it was just a cute little joke. I believed that things would get better. No, somehow things have only gotten worse. If you are new here, I am Kaya Simone. I do reality content wherever I can think of channel. And right now we're talking about Love is Blind. Left off on episode 4 with Uchi realizing that, hey, Aaliyah has decided to leave the show. Thank goodness on her part.
Hello?
Uche, unfortunately, Aaliyah has decided to not continue with the experiment.
Why did the producers let this man go into this room knowing that she wasn't there? Like, they could have been like, oh, sorry, Uchi, there's like no Aaliyah for you. Apologies. But no, they had to have the whole moment where Uchi's being like, Aaliyah, 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 Aaliyah. Like, why, producers? I mean, it was a fun, cute moment. Like, I loved it, but a little much. Episode 5 opens up with Uchi sitting down in like one of those like confessional type situations where he's like, oh, is she actually gone? They're like, yeah, she's like literally on the plane back to Houston right now. She's like not here. One of the producers asks, oh, would you like a chance to talk to her? There was a moment we've been having a hard time getting contact with her, but if we're able to, would you like to talk? He's like, yeah, of course, because like girl just left me when I was about to propose. Again, do not believe that Uchi was actually about to propose in this moment, because his outfit, you're not telling me that this outfit was giving, I'm about to propose to someone, okay? This outfit was giving just normal conversation. Immediately once Uchi gets her on the phone, he's like, you left? How dare you not tell me anything that you were leaving? You literally just left. Aaliyah goes into all of her reasons about like why she decided to leave. She was like,
there was like a exchange of words between Lydia and I.
What did Lydia say?
Because I'll be honest, I feel like she smothers me a little bit.
She's like, the Lydia thing was like kind of crazy. You don't understand what's actually happening to me, because she was saying all these things that literally made me feel smothered and I felt uncomfortable. I've never actually met you. I was all alone. This girl was my best freaking friend. I'm ad-libbing here, but that was the vibe that she was giving off, and I no longer wanted to be there. I didn't think that was the end of you and me, but I can no longer be part of this experiment, because honestly, she had been part of the experiment. She would have to go to Mexico with Lydia. She would have had to go to after the altar with Lydia. She would have had to go to all these things where Lydia would be around her all the time. And I personally too would have like removed myself from the situation, because it's just not a good place to be. It's not a good look. It's not something that I would enjoy doing. Uchi's just upset with her. Uchi does have an anger problem. I've always been obsessed with Uchi. Go back to my videos for episodes 1 and 2. I was all up in. I was like, yes, give me this 33-year-old lawyer. Yes, sign me up, baby. But the moment he got on Aaliyah's case about cheating a few years back and saying like, oh, 2 years ago wasn't that long ago. You're like a recent cheater. Baby, you lost me. So like, you're allowed to make mistakes and then grow from them. And it was just like absurd to me that he was acting that way. I was like, literally the gall, especially because we end up learning. No, actually, I'm not going to tell you that yet. So stay tuned. If you want to, just go ahead and like skip down to my episode 7 recap if you want to know what I'm about to talk about. But like, no, not yet, baby, not yet. Aaliyah makes an outlandish claim where I was just like, if that is actually true, that is some wild shit. Because she says, how do you not know that Lydia did not look at your email and know that you're applying to this damn show and then apply, or you guys didn't plan it together. And it was just like, wait, what? How can you talk about this? Like, how can you believe that girl over me? Again, never met you, sir. And you've not given me a very strong foundation to believe that we are super stable and I can tell you these things. So that's it. That's a wrap on their part. At this point, I'm like, cool. Guess they're just like never gonna do this. We see Milton and Lydia finally meet for the first time in the big like reveal moment. That's supposed to be so dramatic, but they're both like good looking people. They fortunately do find each other attractive, unlike JP and Taylor, which I'll get into in a little bit. The only thing that like really annoys me is that they keep only talking about how Milton's so tall and Lydia is like so old. I guess that's just how like their banter, that's just like how like they're playful. But I'm like, is there more to it than this? You guys are literally engaged. But I guess it's good that they find each other attractive. But I'm also like, there has to be more to it than just like you're tall and then like you're old. I don't know. It's just like something that just really bothers me, and I just don't love it, especially because I see it continue all the way through episode 5. We finally get to Mexico, and so we see all of our 3 couples. So we have JP and Taylor, Lydia and Milton, Stacy and Izzy. There should be 5 couples, but there's 3. Allegedly, but probably true. Apparently 5 couples ended up going to Mexico, and they were just 2 of them were just edited out. That is like literally the craziest thing that I have heard from this season. Okay, actually even crazier, because apparently there's like a lawsuit by one couple. So I guess that's like even crazier, but like it's just so much background drama. When I do my season review, I'll probably go into like all the stuff you didn't like see about Love is Blind. Maybe I'll do that now. It depends on what time I have. When the first couple we see in Mexico are JP and Taylor just like...
About our reveal. Huh?
What?
Because I felt like it was so awkward, and I was like, maybe he doesn't like me. I'm not kidding. I cried.
I'm like, that's not good, baby. You should not be crying every day. That does not seem like normal or good. I couldn't care less about JP and Taylor as a couple, honestly. So when I saw them be one of the couples that we follow, I'm like, okay, bet, sure, whatever. I guess they're in love and good. But like seeing them in Mexico, I'm honestly questioning what their relationship was even about. Izzy and Stacy, all over each other. That's great. Love that for them. Milton and Lydia, again, all over each other, making the same you're tall, you're old jokes, you're such a baby.
I'll round up to 10.
No, that's too much. I'm gonna be old as fuck.
You already are.
Great. I don't, like, those are things that they knew before they met in person. So the idea that they keep, like, commenting on it, especially something, like, so, like, physical, it's just really weird and off-putting to me. Luckily, it does lessen, but it's just, like, so weird. We see more of JP and Taylor interact, and it's honestly just like so weird. They're like in a hot tub, which should be like a cool, like little hot, sexy moment, and nothing. You just see like Taylor trying to casually touch JP, but JP not interacting with her physically at all. Like he just gives a vibe that he's like off put by her. But she's like a cute little pretty girl, and I'm like, she's literally blonde. She's like white. I feel like that's your type, Mr. America. The one thing I want to say here is that how they interact is so weird, especially like kissing wise. I'm not saying that every couple should immediately be like physically into each other. Typically every couple is in Mexico, because once you have like the emotional connection, physical is natural, unless you do not like how the person looks physically. Every single time that Taylor interacts with this man and they kiss, but it's like a little, you know like how turtles have like their necks sticking out like that and like their heads, like that's literally how they kiss. Like there's no bodies touching, it's literally just like lips touching, which is just very, very odd. I'm gonna say that word a lot. Oh, actually it's awkward.
I don't know, maybe it's nerves. Last night he said, well, you can just talk. Like you can just talk. That's not how a relationship works.
Ooh, baby. When Taylor says that it's always on me to start conversations with JP, babe, like, that's not a relationship, okay? You cannot, like, fully carry every single conversation. That's not how it works. Something about that brings to mind when I have a friend who goes on first dates, and she was saying, oh, I have such good first dates like, all the time. But then she had to reflect, and she's like, oh, are all my first dates really good because the other person is amusing and entertaining, or is it me? Am I the one who's amusing and entertaining? Turns out she's the one who's amusing and entertaining. And I feel like that's what Taylor is experiencing in this situation, because that's not a real relationship. And she's literally breaking down over this. And I'm like, how is this sustainable? How is he okay? that she's literally crying because you do not want to freaking talk to her. We are now at the beach where all the couples are interacting and meeting each other. Usually this is like at a pool, but I guess this time they chose a beach, which I guess is good because they, again, edited out 2 couples somehow. The only things to talk about here are that Izzy and Lydia, of course, have to talk because like they were a couple in the pods, and of course you have to like talk because it's your first time meeting each other, and they're both like, oh, you're definitely like my physical type, but it doesn't work. Izzy just goes on this conversation where he's just like yum 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 yum, just keep like jabbering on about like, oh, you know, I just felt strong about other girls, like, you know, it wasn't even like you, it was like more like Johnny, it was like a Johnny over Stacy thing versus like a you over Stacy thing. That's how it just goes, and it just like keeps talking and rambling, and I'm like, why is this important? Like, they literally broke up the first episode, but go off. Lydia does shut it down. She's like, okay, cool, like, I found someone, I'm happy with him, he found someone, I'm happy with him, like, that's all, like, that's it. This isn't going to be one of those things, like, that one of those, like, will they, won't they things, like, we're done, we're over. One of my favorite things, though, is, like, seeing JP and Taylor mean mugging the other couples because they're again all over each other, like doing cute little fun activities, being like lifted and hoisted in the air, like spinning around, having a good like fun little time. JP and Taylor, nothing. Silence. Taylor has one conversation with Stacy basically about how they have no intimacy whatsoever outside the pods. Stacy brings up the fact like, oh, it's because like he's more interested in you versus like you being interested in him. She's like, yeah, that's it. I honestly think that JP became more uninterested, so as a result Taylor became more uninterested, and it just became like a whole big cycle that they're never going to get out of. If I'm like honest, which I am, I'm always honest. The whole video is me being honest. When Taylor does comment on the fact that all the other couples are fine and dandy, but yet here they are, JP just like says like, fuck this, and like walks away. Do you not care? Maybe he is doing something. They're not filmed 24/7, but he says that he feels like the moment they got the pods that Taylor was not attracted to him, or like he immediately felt like she was like wanting to leave. Taylor did make a comment about like the little gap in his tooth, but that was like the first day. Like, they wasn't like an instant chemistry, but like they could have worked on it. I think they had both tried. I think they've been in a much different position, but they're not, and we'll see how that goes. Episode 6. Okay, so JP and Taylor are on this cute little ATV date. You know, gotta get the adrenaline pumping. Like usually the fight or flight, like death makes couples more intense. Does not work for JP and Taylor. They're talking after the date, and it just comes up again how weird things are, where Taylor says, oh, you've definitely been in relationships before, like I don't get why it's so weird outside the pods where we can't like communicate or talk. She says this, which gets me.
How are you feeling?
Sweaty.
She's like, how are you feeling? He says, sweaty.
But about everything else, is there anything that's been on your mind?
You need to show your freckles more.
She's like, no, really? He's like, oh, I like your freckles. That is not what she meant. It's not what she meant at all, JP. Like, were you being funny? It wasn't funny to me. Hella wasn't funny to Taylor. JP is like, oh, you know, I just want us to get back home to Houston, like, see how things go. So he's very adamant about, like, wanting to get back home at least to, like, figure things out. And he says that one of his fears is that her leaving him. Okay, what are you doing to make her feel comfortable enough to pursue things outside of Mexico? Okay, because no longer are you guys at risk of this $50,000 fine, which is a real thing. If a couple wanted to leave the show early, they were fined $50,000. I do not have a spare $50,000. You also probably don't have a spare $50,000. And if you also leave Love is Blind early, you better believe you will never have the spare $50,000. As we get into our next little bit of JP and Taylor drama, Netflix just gives us all these little cute little scenes of Izzy and Stacy and Milton and Lydia being cute. Okay, they're really trying to do that contrast against how their relationships are and how JP and Taylor's are. There's one scene with Milton and Lydia where if you close your eyes, you cannot tell me that this does not sound like a conversation between a mom and her son who's just being annoying about like wanting to wear what he wants to wear, and the mom be like, no, you have to wear this outfit.
I don't want to match.
Yes, I want to match.
No, I'm not doing that.
Why not?
I digress, but that's just something I wanted to put in because like the dynamics between Lydia and Milton's relationship is just interesting. JP and Taylor are getting ready for bed, and immediately things escalate, okay? Because Taylor just voices again how things don't feel great. Like, she does not feel good. Things do not feel fun, easy, or flirty.
Because you didn't get over the awkward part.
Because it's still awkward.
because you harped on the awkward part and you didn't get past it.
And she's like, well, because things are awkward. And again, like that cycle where neither of them is like taking responsibility, but also like not making things better. Like, I don't get how, if you were having an argument with a partner, you wouldn't be like, oh, just get over it. One of you has to like change or do steps to change. Like, you just can't magically or mythically solve the problems yourself. Like, you have to do something. He says that he's trying, but she's still leading conversations. Things are still being awkward. He's still like pecking her as a kiss. Like, there is no intimacy there. He keeps saying that you've had one foot out the door, again, because you're also like not doing anything to improve the situation, because things are awkward and weird, and things are awkward and weird because you keep making it weird. So again, like the whole cycle of stuff. I am annoyed. I am bothered. I'm also very invested. I'm not gonna lie. And JP starts harping about the fact that everything went to shit on day one on reveal, and Taylor's like, get past that. That was just a reveal day, but ever since that, things have still been bad. And he's like, well, it's because of day one. And she's like, no, it's not. He's like, it is because of day one. She's like, okay, fine, what happened? He's like, well, because of the reveal.
That's what started the whole thing.
I'm gonna move past it, and I'm gonna say night
so
one here was awkward.
Day one.
Day 4, guess what? We're not gonna be able to communicate.
That's what started everything.
And this was the little clip that we probably all seen over the internet where old boy has the nerve to say, well, you know, on day one you came out looking like all of that gunk on your face. Makeup. He identifies makeup as being gunk on your face. Baby boy. You've been in a relationship, right? You've been around women, right? Like, women, when they're getting proposed to or getting ready for a first date, are going to probably wear makeup. Okay? Maybe for you, maybe not for you, but it just makes us feel good. So the idea that he has like any viewpoints where he looks on this as trash, I'm done. I'm over it. I'd have been out the door back to Houston. I've been like, forget Mexico, forget this, forget like my Instagram following, forget like me quitting my job. Like, this is over.
Yeah. Caked up face. And
You didn't know what I looked like before.
You presented fake stuff.
I just dressed up and put on makeup.
You presented fake stuff. You did not know how this girl looked. He's like, oh, well, I like you much better like now without all that. What if that had been her? What if she had been one of those girls who always has fake lashes on? I think she does have. She's like lash extensions. And then like makeup. Like, would you have like loved her less if that was her real authentic self? Would you have been okay with it? But the fact that it wasn't her real authentic self, you hate it? You don't like... It just made no sense to me. And like, he's in here wearing his little red, white, and blue NASA shirt, giving me Republican AF energy. I am so glad that Taylor was like, what the fuck? That is the reason you cannot communicate with me, because of how I look that one day. I don't even look like that every day. I have not done all that since we've been here. And he's like, most women would love for her man to say that you look beautiful without makeup, and you look more beautiful without makeup. No, most women would want her man to say you look beautiful with and without makeup. Not you look beautiful without it. Because you're saying I look ugly with it. Like, that's usually how that connotation, how that works. And it's just like silly. It's just like so stupid that like he feels he can't talk to her because how she looked on one day out of the whole entire scheme of things. It doesn't make sense. Taylor, again in her right ass mind's like, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm checking out for the night. I'm going to go to another room. Girl's already packed though. Her luggage is already packed. I'm guessing that like she was already of mind to leave. But she's like, I'm going to give one more shot. I'll have a conversation with JP. Maybe things will be all nice and cute. Things were not all nice and cute. So she leaves. She packs up for the morning. She's like, I'm going somewhere else. Bye, boy. As I've watched this clip a few times at this point, I honestly don't know, A, where he got the audacity. But 2, why is it such a big deal that she's wearing makeup? When he says that our problems would be solved, we just promise to never wear makeup. It feels very controlling, very abusive, very like... Maybe it was like insecure. Maybe it was like, oh, I can't have her. Like, she's too good for me. I do not know what he had in his little tiny little man brain. But it's atrocious and it's not okay. I don't need the opinion. Unless you're telling me I'm pretty, or like, oh, I look better, I love that shit on you versus that. Like, that's it. I don't need your thoughts or opinions what I'm doing with my face and my body. Thank you. The next morning, JP and Taylor do talk. They do meet. JP does have the forethought to apologize, say, you know, once we get back home to Houston, we'll talk things out or work on it. It's a little too late, sir. It's a little too late. The whole entire time he is talking, Taylor is just like this. Like, no emotion, nothing whatsoever. You can tell that she's literally just associating, because when he says, he asks her a question and she's like, huh, what?
What are your thoughts on
Do what?
What are your thoughts?
And he has to repeat himself. It's because she's like over it. You can tell that she is like gone. She is like not here in this moment. She just wants to cut things off as immediately as she can.
The way I felt about you in the pods, I could have spent the rest of my life with you, and here it's just completely different. We're not where we should be, and then like after seeing other couples happy, having fun, definitely should end in marriage. That put everything into perspective for me. You're not the person I fell in love with. And here I just feel so uncomfortable, feel so forced. I feel like I'm having to drag things out of you.
I just don't see it. Like, maybe the first day we kind of gotten past it, the second, third, fourth, but I promise you also on day 5, 6, 7, if we go back to Houston, we're still on those same issues.
I don't think we should be engaged. Don't think we should live together. I'm done.
Love it, babes. Please, please, please. I've not seen anything, but please to God, I do not want to see this couple together after the altar at the reunion. I want them to be done. I don't want any conversations. I don't want them like, oh, we worked or figured things out. No. It's just like not worth it. It is literally not worth it, especially these kinds of things. You literally cannot have a conversation with your partner. How is that going to be sustainable? The two couples that we do have remaining are back in Houston in their little Netflix supplied apartment so they can live together. And we see our first little bit of drama from each couple. So on the Milton and Lydia side, their big thing is that Milton is an engineer, but since he's like new, he has to usually work nights, usually on a 4-day on, 3-day off schedule, which is like cute, but he's usually has to go into work like by 6 and he's home by around like 4. And Lydia's like, oh, well, I usually leave work at 5, so when are we ever going to see each other? And Milton's like, well, we will still see each other. We'll still make it work. Like, it won't always be like that. And I do have the days off. Like, we'll just spend more time on the weekends. So, hey, they solved their big problem nice and quick and expeditiously. So, love that for them. On the Izzy and Stacy side, their thing seems to be that Izzy's mom isn't like super happy with the fact that he's engaged and may not like her. And Izzy's like super close with his mom. So I feel like that might be a bonding problem, like the whole parental side of things. They're going to see each other's apartment. So Lydia goes and sees Milton's apartment and she's like, wow, this looks like a college dorm. It is clean. I mean, it's empty, but it's like clean. Like Milton's microscope's on full display. She hates like his little cow rug. We meet Milton's roommate he seems like a nerdy boy that's like Milton, like also like an engineer or data science or accounting or something like that. And they're just like good friends. He says like nice things about Milton. Nothing to write home about. We see Stacy's house, not an apartment, a house. I mean, she's 33. Most people in Houston who have the funds do get a house, and it's going through an extreme renovation. Baby, one thing I learned, Stacy is a full-time fitness instructor, it seems like. How does she have the money to afford this place? I'm guessing it was probably from her parents. But baby, like, and the renovation too, those are some nice-ass parents. Where Izzy's like, oh, this is gonna be my home. We're gonna put a flat screen. It's gonna be here. We're gonna fix this. Like, yes, like I love it. Like, because his apartment is shit. Well, we're gonna see his apartment in a second. But one thing that comes up is a conversation about finances. I do not know how people get to the point being engaged, even from like something like Love is Blind, where they do not talk about finances, especially when you have like certain views or expectation on finances. You need to talk about finances.
401k, retirement, like you set a certain amount of money aside a month. Like in HVAC, it can be 10 to 20 grand. And I have 2.
Finances, children, religion, like those are very big things you should be talking to someone about before you get engaged. I don't get how people don't do it. Stacy, of course, because again, she does not have any of her own money. It's been supplied by her parents, so it seems. She's like, oh, how do you feel about like splitting? Like, is it like a what is yours is mine, but like mine is mine kind of situation? She's like, my home has like 2 HVACs, which is crazy because most homes only have 1. She's like, well, they're $20,000 a piece. At some point we have to pay for 1. Like, how do you see that happening? He's like, oh, I mean, like
if you're living here and this is our home, like, are we doing that together?
Like I like to do 50-50.
Most people do not have 40 grand in cash available. Okay, like let's be real, Stacy. Like, does Izzy give off vibes like he has 40 grand in the bank just waiting? He does not. Let's be honest. she asked him, like, okay, well, how do you feel about, like, dinner and, like, we're out for dinner? He's like, oh, well, I'm happy to, like, pay 50-50, or we just both put our cards down and just see what happens. She's like, what? No. What do you mean? I've never paid for a date like that. Like, of course you're gonna pay. Okay, again, if these are your viewpoints, you need to voice that, because most people can pay for themselves. Most people can pay for housing expenses, but I think most people in a relationship, but I think a default expectation would be like, oh, we're like splitting 50-50. Of course, with the anniversary, anything big, your birthday, I'm going to pay. But otherwise, just like a normal like Tuesday, I'm not just paying for all of our groceries and like every dinner all the time. Like those are things you need to talk about. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way. They just need to talk about it and make sure everyone's on the same page. And if Stacy wants a provider, she should have been like, oh, I'm looking for a provider. But she has not been like, I'm looking for a provider. She's like, I'm looking for love. And these are things she should have been talking about instead of like being like, oh, I just want to have fun. No. You wanted to have someone with money. Be honest. That was a long rant. That was a really long rant. I'm just like I'm just a little peeved on that. Episode 7, we see Uchi and Aaliyah meet for the very first time. Girl looks great. I love her natural hair. Skin is glowing. I love her little tap moment. She's cute. She looks great. Immediately they just jump in. Aaliyah goes on a whole like spiel about how sorry she is. She's like trying to get this man back. Girl should have just left him at home and just like not even showed up. Immediately Uchi's just like, you know what, you had the chance or opportunity, like you could have said something to me instead of like letting this random strange girl get in the way. He's like, I don't even care about Lydia, but then proceeds to say that he does care about Lydia and wanted to protect her feelings, and that's why he didn't want to say like negative things about her. If I said negative things about her, you'd probably been like, oh, this is how this man talks about his exes, people he's been in a relationship with. Remember that, okay? We're gonna talk about that later, okay? So a relationship, my ex. So he goes on like this long-winded thing about how, they used to date, but then like they broke up and he felt like really bad about it. So they got back together because like she had like no friends, no job. She was like a little sad case. She's like someone passed away. So I was just like trying to be there supporting her, even though things were kind of unhealthy. But the moment that she seemed like to be back on her feet, I broke things off. Why are you doing this girl favors? Like, I've never heard of such a thing. Like, getting back together with someone just because, like, they were in a bad space. And, like, once they were like, you're like, okay, I'm done. You could have just been her friend. You guys didn't have to get back together. You guys didn't need to, like, sleep together. It's just, like, weird because, like, obviously, Uchi does care about Lydia. Because otherwise, why go through all the extensive lengths? So, there is... Uchi, again, did, like, an Instagram Ask Me Anything. And one of the questions was... did you actually believe that Lydia followed you there? He's like 100%, because Aaliyah also here says, I think she planted the seed into his mind initially, first in the conversation and then here, because she's like, oh, well, Lydia says that she thought that someone that she knew would be here. If she did and went on the show, that's crazy. That actually is crazy. But also, if you've like dated a bit, I think you might believe that someone was there. Natalie and Aditi from Love is Blind Season 3 both said that they had people in the pods that they had known previously, and they told production, and production was like, oh, okay, it's like fine. But these apparently were people that they were dating seriously, but Lydia and Uchi obviously were dating seriously, so one of them or both of them should have disclosed the fact that they were seeing each other, so this could have never happened. I get in the case of other people who like come across someone that they know, because like in your mind, like, oh, I never dated them, so there's nothing in my mind to be like, oh, I should list out every single person I've ever met in my life. Like, that's like not normal or expected. So the producer and director, creator of Love is Blind, something Chris Colin or something, has like this article he does with the Rolling Stone where he's like, we definitely had no idea that Uchi and Aaliyah were a couple, but once they told us, we said, hey, you guys need to leave, but they both wanted to stay. But okay, do not tell anyone else about like this because it might ruin the experiment. I think they just want the drama, honestly. I think they're like, oh, this would be good tea. I mean, it has been good tea, like the internet's been talking about it, but I do think they should have come out with it a lot sooner, or at least said like, oh, I'm in a relationship, I know someone here from the pods, I won't tell anything about it, but I just want you to know that off the bat, like things are done and over me with that person, but I just want you to know that. Aaliyah does a little interview with Cameron from the very first season of Love is Blind, as they have like a like a show called Keeping Up with the Hamiltons, where she says that Uchi knew that Lydia was my closest relationship in the house. Like, Uchi knew how close we were, for the fact that for him to not say anything the whole entire time is, like, crazy to me. And I think it is. You let her get so close, like, emotionally close to this woman, and, like, never told her, I think that's unacceptable. No matter what the producers say, like, they didn't ban you from saying it. They were just like, please just don't disclose it that soon. But I think once you were in it with Aaliyah like that, you should have said something. Uchi continues to just go on how like crazy Lydia was, how like she drove by his apartment and was like, oh, I see you. Again, no context for the statement. We don't know if she was like in the neighborhood or was like, oh, I see you cheating, or oh, I see you, like, oh, I was just like swinging by, oh, I see your car. Like, again, makes it seem like she's crazy. And then he goes on like, oh, I got all these like text messages from these girls who showed me that like Lydia was like stalking them on Instagram. Why were these girls reaching out to you? Why did they feel so comfortable? Like, how did they know that you knew Lydia? Like, what were the dynamics that they felt so comfortable to do that? Because I know so many people who look at people's Instagram stories of people that they don't follow, especially if these girls had public Instagrams, I'm assuming, right? Because obviously it wasn't offensive, it seems like. So these girls had public Instagrams. It means they want anyone to look at it. They do not care, but they reached out to you. Like, what is that? Like, it just did not make sense to me. Something that Aaliyah does here that I think is like a little bit unforgivable is when Uchi's like, oh, well, you know, you blocked me, unblocked me, you called me, not called me, you ignored me. It was like hard to get in contact with you for 48 hours after the pods. Okay.
I think it's over between us.
He ends up just saying that, like, you know, how can I trust you in a relationship to not immediately run away versus having an actual conversation with me? So, like, we're done. Again, someone asks Uchi about this, and he's like, well, that was the production, like, edit or a little thing that production decided to do because, you know, Aaliyah and I did decide to proceed out of the pods. We find out things did not go well. Spoiler for you guys, Uchi and Aaliyah tried dating for a little bit, but then it was just like a wrap. It did not go well. Aaliyah says again in her thing with Cameron about how she honestly felt that Uchi just was not attracted to her. So it makes me think that if Uchi had felt attracted to her, he would have like actually pursued things a little harder, but it wasn't. Again, girl, good for you. You should have immediately walked away and never entertained this guy because he is at every single moment looking for something to be bad about you versus looking for reasons to make it work. And I think ultimately that's the problem between them. Like he was always looking for something wrong versus something right. Let's make things a little bit more lighthearted here, but also like not really, because every single one of these couples is kind of a mess. We see Izzy invite Stacy over to his apartment. I'm not convinced that this man actually lives here. I think this is a temporary housing situation that he got prior to the show. Cannot convince me I'm wrong here. Literally, this place is spotless, but the man has no plates, no cups, just plastic plates, like plastic plates, plastic cups. Stacy's just like, wait, what if I came over, you know, we were dating, how would you feed me a meal? Like, how would you cook for me? Like, are you just going to feed me on plastic, on paper plates? Baby, the gall, do you think this man actually has pots and pans to cook you a meal in? It's gonna be takeout. It's gonna be takeout. You're gonna eat out the takeout container with like a fork and like a little plastic knife. Baby, that's your reality. That's your life. The worst thing here too is like, Izzy's doing a lovely tour and shows her his lost and found drawer of random things that girls have left at his apartment. Baby, like, in what universe is that acceptable and okay for you to just be like, oh yeah, this is where random things that girls I have hooked up with have left? Does not know who these women are, could not tell you their names or the last time that they were there. Why do you still have it? Also, don't get me on the fact that he's like, oh, well, my home is like a home goods house, like a Hobby Lobby house, because all like the plants and signs. Again, why I don't think this man actually lives here. You cannot tell me that Izzy was walking the aisles of Hobby Lobby and is like, oh, I really like this home sign. Oh, I really like these plants. No, sir. This is temporary housing. You have a month. You could give a month-to-month Airbnb lease. Let's be honest. For some reason, this causes a breakdown between the two of them, where Stacy's just like, you seem like a child, and like, you keep saying this is how I am. Like, how do I know things are gonna work? But Izzy's like, you seem very materialistic. Okay, fair. I'm guessing the home she had and the fact that she was like, are you not gonna pay for stuff, made him seem like you think I'm inadequate. There's gonna be a growing theme between them. Again, money is just one of those things that you cannot love your way out of. It is not. I have no hope. I have no faith. Milton meets Lydia's mom and her brother. Things go well. They're like, as long as you guys are willing to have babies. Lydia's mom is like, I'm signed up. Also, her name is Lydia Senior. So I love a moment where a mom names their daughter after themselves. I would love to name my daughter Kaya just after me. Just how like Lorelai and Roy Gilmore are named after each other. Izzy meets Stacy's family, and things here go a lot less well, because we learn that Stacy is the kind of girl who likes to travel a lot, like a lot. She likes to spend money and travel. But no, she doesn't just like to travel. When she travels, she likes to travel first class. Again, that is not normal, okay? Even if I like to travel, you'd be like, okay, she likes to go like maybe Miami, maybe Vegas, you know, maybe Mexico. But maybe she should go like, you know, to London sometimes. But like, you know, economy, maybe premium economy. But baby, first class, taking multiple first class trips is expensive. Even no matter how good you are at like your credit card point system, you are spending tens of thousands of dollars on flights a year, okay? That is not things that normal people can do. We learned that Izzy does not even have a passport, okay? He's like hoping to go for the first time. He's planning on like going somewhere. And they're like, oh, but why? And he's like, well, you know, I just didn't have money growing up. They're also like, you're 29. You're telling me like at the age of 29, you still have not had the luxury to go somewhere. Again, I know it's normal. I know a lot of people don't have passports. But if you're marrying someone who likes to travel, it's probably a good question. I have a personal rule that I do not want to date anyone who does not have a passport and has used it. You might be like, oh, what do you mean and used it? A lot of people have passports that they have never used, okay? They just do. So just ask the right question. That would be my first question in the pods. I'm like, oh, do you like to travel? Oh, where? Okay, because if it's a fundamental part of like your life, it's good to know. And obviously it's going to cause trouble. See, we're getting a growing theme of like the money and like unequal views that they have on their lives. Stacy's dad again is just like, she likes to travel a lot and fly first class. Basically, it's like you're too poor for her, which he is. Okay, he is too poor for Stacy. We get to the part of the show where all the people who are in the pods, like the pod squad, pod squad is like the extras and you have like main cast, but everyone meets outside of the pods. So we see Maris, Miriam, Renee, and this guy Carter as well. One thing I want you to see here, because apparently Carter and Renee are one of the couples that went through Mexico, literally went through the whole entire show, got engaged, but they just like edited it out as being not a main couple. Girl is literally wearing an engagement ring on her left hand. Baby. They thought they were slick with this one. So I'm like, I cannot wait I hope the reunion has all the actual 5 couples, 6 couples. That way 6 couples, we could actually learn what's going on because this is crazy. Carter says one comment that makes me so glad they did not air them after all. He's like, you know, JP is just the kind of man that I would see myself daughter want to marry. I do not care. That is not the kind of man you should want your daughter to marry. We do see Johnny. Oh, girl, Johnny is here. Shows up wearing a dress. Girl's always wearing a dress and those little wedges, but if it works for her, it works for her. Does she own jeans? Probably not. We learn that Johnny is actually seeing Chris. So apparently at the airport, they saw each other, immediately knew, and they're like, we have to be back together. Chris, you should have stayed home. Allegedly, apparently, Chris is with someone else who's not Johnny, posted on his Instagram. I'm guessing he learned his lesson because he was literally second fiddle. No matter how much Johnny tried to spend it, it was never Chris. Stacy has like a whole bunch of resentment towards Johnny, like intense, like seething level of resentment, how she's talking about her.
She just went around shit-talking me to everyone. So that just pisses me off.
Johnny is just crying, breaking down about how good Chris is and like how he's like too good for her. He's a very nice guy. Everyone's like, he's super nice and you're a bitch. Again, as all couples just have to do, Izzy, who just needs to stop, pulls Johnny aside.
I feel like you do need it because honestly, it's not just me. Everyone thinks you're sketchy as fuck. No, you devastated Chris. Understandable. Guy's into you. Your intent was to go with me.
And it's just like, hey, you know, I just want to talk about everything that happened in the pods. Like, lovely seeing you, but I'm glad I made the right decision. You're effing nightmare. You're trash. You're garbage. You're super shady. Like, Chris is too good for you. Everyone talks bad about you. You are a nightmare, and I'm so glad that I ended things with you, and I hope you die in hell. Ad-libbing here, but that was the vibe he was giving off. It was very intense, very much so bullying. Johnny does try to defend herself a little bit here, but not too great, because she's just like, you're all shady. What does that even mean? I don't even know what shady, I guess I know what shady means, but like, I don't know how anyone is shady in this context. Like, yes, Johnny said one thing to Chris and then one thing to Izzy, opposite things, lied to both of them, either lied to one or lied to the other, either way. not great.
So fucking sketchy, like I was fucking railing her.
What did she say?
Izzy immediately rushes to Stacy and has to be like, yeah, I went in on her, okay? I told her that she was super shady. She was like a horrible human being. Like, he's hype. Why are you hyped? Why are you a grown man getting joy after acting trash to someone and making her cry? Stacy's just like, okay, so what's going on? Like, why are you so happy about the fact that you made Johnny feel bad? And I think he just thought that they'd get together, like, talk trash, and it could be a whole good moment. And it's just like, oh, I love you. And she's like, you love me because I'm not her? Like, she's awful. So, like, he's just like, why are you, basically Stacey's just like, why are you still so obsessed with her? This made no sense to me. Okay, it was very weird. I hate them both. I wish them the worst. I mean, like, not gonna lie, I don't wish anyone the worst, but I kind of wish everyone the worst. I missed this the first time because, like, I watched the show, and of course everyone knows that Netflix has like these weird AI generated like songs. Apparently there's a full career. People make songs for shows. Like, someone will get them a scene and they'll write a song. Because there's literally a song, I might get copyright if I play it, but I'll play a little snippet of here. And basically it's just like, something bad's gonna happen tonight. In walks Uchi. You know, like, it's kind of vibes. I'm like, okay, things have to be bad. But immediately when Uchi walks in, he grabs Lydia. He's like, can we talk? You don't have to. Lydia should have said no because why? He does pull her aside. They talk, and immediately he goes into like all the reasons he loved Lydia. Again, loved Lydia. And how could you not say that that is someone, even if Lydia should have put it on her thing, did not, okay, if she thought they were actual relationship, Uchi here is literally saying that they were in love at some point. I think you would put them down as a past relationship if you were in love with someone. Even if it was like 2 years ago. That is something that you probably should say, but okay, Uchi, you guys were not in a relationship, okay? You guys were like just seeing each other and hooking up. You guys were not official at that point. I will say, even if it was, that is crazy to me. That is literally crazy to me. This makes no sense. You're a liar. You guys made me both liars, but it's stupid. I'm getting so worked up. He again brings up the whole you're watching my Instagram stories things, proceeds to pull out his phone and show her text messages girls sent him. Again, why do they care that much? And like, it makes me think when she basically brings up the fact, well, you drove by my apartment and said like, I see you. And she's like, no, I was in the neighborhood. We were literally texting. I think she was going to go surprise him and then saw that someone was there and was like, oh, I see you. Because she makes a comment that like he was cheating on her.
He knows. But he's not going to say that.
Do you want like me to share what happened?
And maybe they weren't official at the time, maybe not. But Lydia obviously thought that they were something and felt like he was cheating. That's why it's really important to define the relationship. And she makes the comment, when Uchi makes the comment about like, how do I know you didn't apply for the show? Just be on there with me. Like, Lydia's outraged. She's like, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. Like, you're stupid. You're dumb. Like, what is this? This felt very weird to me because Lydia was singing Uchi's praises up and down in the pods when she was talking to Aaliyah. When Uchi first arrived, she wanted to pursue things with him. So the fact that like, he was cheating on her, things were shitty, but she still wanted to pursue something, was talking positively about him. Like, things were just not like clicking at all, because I think both things can be true sometimes, but this was just not adding up. Like, how can you think this man is garbage, trash, and a narcissist, but you're willing to pursue a relationship with him in the pods and we're talking positively about Uchi to Aaliyah? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Unless she found out more things outside the pods, which is possible. It's really absurd to me. Milton does this whole thing where he's like, oh, we have to leave in 10 minutes, Lydia, so like wrap it up. Tries to support him. I think it was really good. He gave her space, but it was also like, if you need me, we gotta get out. Like, just let me know. They continue talking. Again, like, it just keeps escalating. They go nowhere. It's a fight. Lydia's like, you're an awful person. Like, I don't want to talk to you. And like, she storms out. That's where we end episode 7. Episode 8. We are slowly but surely making our way through this new batch of episodes, so don't worry, guys. We're getting in the most drama we're about to get. You thought there was already drama, prepare for more drama. Lydia is having a full-on panic attack, and we see Uchi going on his nice guy campaign. He literally says, I was trying to be a nice guy, which everyone should know. If a guy says that they are a nice guy, they are definitely not a nice guy. Okay, they're probably a very, very, very bad guy. He starts off his campaign by trying to engage with Milton. Milton's not having it. He's listening, because like Milton does that, but he's like not engaging whatsoever. He's just like letting like Uchi yap in his ear, because I'm guessing he's smart enough to realize if he actually took the time to respond back to Uchi, he would just probably argue and speak over him, which is what Uchi ends up doing with Miriam. Lydia's not having this. She comes over, grabs Milton. Uchi's like, wait, what? Milton's like, okay, give me 5 minutes, give me 5 minutes. And she's like, no. Uchi's like, wait, you're gonna steal him from your friend? That is literally his fiance. Okay, Uchi, calm down. You do not supersede Lydia in this situation. Since the whole Milton thing appears to be a bust for now, he makes his next campaign stop. He is literally running for president right now. He goes over back to the group. He's like, yeah, so Lydia is crazy, okay? What you guys don't know is that she was like following people I know on Instagram, watching their stories for me. You know, like apparently she went on the show because I was going on the show. All the girls, silence, okay? Little silence, and their expressions were just like blank. You can tell that all these girls have heard this before at some point, but Johnny though is just like,
Is your face okay?
Hold on. She.
what? It was really funny because immediately Stacey's just like, why are your eyes so big? Why is your mouth open? Okay, why are you shocked? And Johnny's like, this is like shocking information. It's literally shocking information if you didn't know it. Uchi just wants validation. Stacey's like, I'm gonna decide with Lydia, you know, like I don't know what you're doing. Like, you know, like Aaliyah was literally shook when you said that was cheating. Lydia was there to comfort her. So she's speaking, and then Miriam's like, no, Uchi, and she's like starts shouting at Uchi, and Uchi's like, please calm down, like I don't need that from you. I'm like trying to listen to Stacy, but baby, sir, you wanted validation before, now you suddenly just don't want validation. What's going on? Let's talk about that. Like, let's literally talk about that, because it's okay when Stacy wants to talk, but when Miriam, who you think is going to be confrontational, not immediately agree with you, you're going to be upset. Uchi just starts. So if you guys remember the very first episode, Miriam was like, oh, well, you know, like I live in Houston, but I also live in Saudi Arabia. I own a business. She was very sketchy, weird about it. She actually made a TikTok saying like, I literally have a degree from Johns Hopkins. I did work in the Middle East. I also still own a home in Houston. I have both. And she's like, I'll talk about my business more. It's skincare. I don't know if she actually did post that. After this, I'm going to go check and see what actually happened with that, because I was like, huh, yeah, Miriam. It was just edited weird, which I agree. But when Uchi just is like, do you have a business? Do you not have a business? It just seemed really, really insensitive from him. I don't know. It wasn't fun when he was joking it. It was like,
Stacey, can I talk to you? I don't want to hear her.
I'll read you for
Miriam's
the
bitter.
Of course you don't want to hear. Bitter? You're so
I'm trying to have a conversation about Lydia. Do you have a business? Do you not have a business? Do you have a boyfriend? Do you not have a boyfriend?
It's fun when I do it, because like I don't mean it I don't have ill intent, but Uchi has ill intent, which I think makes all the difference. Miriam, though, is just not the one to play. She is not playing here. She is like,
You want to talk about who's here for the cameras? I'm not Lydia or Aaliyah. You're not going to make me cry. I'll read you for the filth you are. Loser.
I am not Lydia. I am not Aaliyah. You're not going to make me cry. Uchi is gone on his phone. He's like, you know what? I'm losing. I don't engage. So that's what he does. The moment Uchi realizes he can't win a situation, he's going to remove himself from the situation. Milton brings back Lydia, sits her little butt down, and goes back and continues a conversation with Uchi, because I'm guessing he's like, you know, if I don't, Uchi's just going to be all up in my ass about this. Uchi's pulling out his receipts. He's just like, yeah, you know, Lydia went on the show Love is Blind for me. I found that out. I'm guessing he has additional proof. He pulls out his phone. Milton's just like, yeah. He's like, okay, so I see you don't want to see them. And Milton's just like, nah, I'm good. Like, I already know. Like, I already like have my beliefs. I don't need anything from you. Like, it's not going to do anything for me. You're not going to convince me. And I'm like, very smart for Milton. Okay, my eyelash just falls off. Like, pretend it isn't. Like, pretend like these are beautiful natural lashes and they're fine, okay? You didn't see anything. If you really cared that much about Milton, why didn't you send a text message? Okay, apparently you guys like have a group chat. You have his number. You didn't do this you did not need to do this with cameras, but you had to. You just had to do this with cameras. Again, Uchi just keeps yapping. Milton, the man of science that he is, he's just like, you know, like we all live on different. My mom always says that each person has their own perception of reality. You have yours, I have mine. Lydia has her own. You know, we're all just on different interdimensional spaces. Like, you know, in the Pythagorean theorem, like we all don't add up. Maybe you're Y, she's X, I'm Z, but we're all running parallel to each other when we don't intersect, you know? So you have your truth and I have my truth, but I'm good. That's how it sounded like to me, okay? Like Milton sounded like he was like in a PhD level like physics course, okay? I was like, he was losing me, but I got what he meant. Uchi did not know what he was saying either, but he's like, okay, I guess you already are decided, you're good. And Milton's just like, yeah. Everyone is just on their own little shit talk campaign. We see Izzy talking to Chris, being like, yeah, you know, Johnny's shady. Like, she's lied to you. She's a liar. She said to me that she loved me 4 times. This does shock Chris because he's just like, oh, wait, what? Stacy comes over here and she's over this. She's like, are we still on this? Like, are you still talking about Johnny? Like, Stacy's done. Stacy does not want to hear anything about Johnny. Stacy and Izzy get back to their apartment and Izzy is just hyped. They're still on this Johnny stuff. Izzy's just like, oh, I feel so good. I'm so glad. Like, it turned me on so much, like how we went in on her. Like, I'm so glad I chose you. Like, this is a good. Sir, little sir, why does that bring you joy? Stacy again is just like, why are you so stuck on this? Like, why are you calling Johnny one of the pod girls? I was also a pod girl. You should want me for me. Like, you don't do anything. You come home late. You don't treat me as I thought you would. You don't cook. I've cooked twice. Izzy's like, okay, calm down. Outside of the cooking, what have I not done? And she's like, well, you don't cook. He's like, again, outside of the cooking. She's like, you don't do anything for me. Izzy literally, just before this scene, Izzy's like, yep, I got your flowers. You know, it's like Monday Flowers Day. So to me, that seems like he's trying. Maybe he's not trying in the way that you want, and that's a separate conversation, right? I think you have to vocalize your needs to your partner, and they either meet them or they don't. If they don't meet them, that's one thing, but if you never vocalize them, that's another. After her little soapbox, Izzy is just like, I feel like you don't think I'm good enough for you, that I keep trying, but it's like not sufficient for you. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Stacy continues to go on and say that, you know, he just does not do anything for her, that he promised her in the pods. He promised that he would do all these things, like cook her meals, rub her feet, like yada, 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 but he's not doing it. Stacy has like her signature orange makeup. I don't like talking about a woman's looks, but I will talk about how someone uses makeup. You're welcome to talk about how I use makeup too. Do you like it? Maybe you don't. I don't know. I don't care. But you know, I do know that's probably how Stacy likes to wear makeup. Just like that same little orange color on her cheeks, on her eyebrows, on her lids, on the top of her forehead. She's just an orange girl. I don't like hate it, but I also didn't think anything of it until people kept pointing it out. And now all I can see is how orange her face is. All of this like sends Izzy into a breakdown. He is in the closet, okay? He is literally in the closet crying. When someone is in the closet crying, that is how you know they're at the little depths of emotional stability, okay? The little depths. I don't go in the closet just to go in the closet. I go in the closet when I need to shut myself down and suffocate and isolate myself from every stimuli. Okay. Next scene. Izzy shows up to Stacy's workout class where she's leading a class. I'm assuming she owns the studio. I know that fitness instructors do make money. I don't know if they make 3-level house in a nice part of Houston that we're going through renovation money. Izzy's the one to apologize. Stacy's like, thanks. He brings her a bag of random gifts, a plunger. She likes it. She's like, oh, that's so sweet. They move on. I hate them. I literally hate them so much. Since Izzy has already met Stacy's family, Stacy meets Izzy's mom. Izzy used to have a stepdad who's no longer in the picture. This is like basically like the interaction between Milton and Lydia's mom, where Izzy's mom was just like, as long as you're happy, I'm happy. Things are good, things are cherry. We're all Gucci here. A meet the parents conversation that does not go well is Lydia meeting Milton's parents. I wouldn't say like they're cold, but they're like, they're very like questioning this. They're very like apprehensive, as a parent should be. Okay, if your family is immediately okay for the fact that you want a show called Love is Blind, are gonna marry someone 4 weeks after meeting them, there should be questions. Okay, that's valid. There should be questions. If I call my mom in 4 weeks, I'm like, oh mom, hi, I'm in love, I'm getting married. I expect my mom to be like, Kaya, I love and support you, but also this is batshit crazy. What are you doing, girl? Milton again is sitting on counters. That's just what he does. Milton's mom is very Milton-esque, okay? I see where Milton comes from because Milton's mom is just like, so Lydia, literally giving her an interrogation. She's like, so like, Lydia, please tell me, what are you? She's like, oh, I'm Puerto Rican. She's like, oh, where exactly? Like city and state, like in like I think what's Puerto Rico's right, they have city states. I believe so. But anyway, she's like, oh, I'm from la 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 la. And she's like, oh, okay. And what do you do again? And she's like, oh, I do this. Oh, okay. What school? Where school? Like, what year were you born? What's your full last name? First and okay, thank you. She's gonna go use this information to get a background check on Lydia and to find out everything that she should. As she should. One thing that they do like about Lydia is the fact that she is highly educated with a master's degree in a STEM field. They love that. They're like, okay, that's like a good fit for our son Milton. Like on paper, she seems good. But again, why is this 30-year-old woman interested in our 24-year-old son? That's weird. Why is there not enough men her age that she'd be interested in? Lydia just goes on to say, well, like I've dated men who are older than me and they don't treat me as well as Milton does, which I feel like is like really fair. I think people don't age is kind of just a number. There are some numbers that are wrong, right? Like someone who is 16 with someone who's 20, that's like literally wrong. But I think that 24 can be mature, but I also think just because someone's 24 doesn't make them any more mature than someone who is 32. Like I've literally been on date with people in like their 30s and like I feel like so much more immaturity in them versus like when I was like younger and dating people in my 20s. I'm in my 20s still, you get my point. But like, and I feel like I see more maturity in them. I don't think it's like an A, B, C situation naturally. They go on and they're just like, oh, we didn't know you were interested in marriage. What's going on here? Why are you trying to settle down? And Milton's just like, well, I just went on it. I think Milton went on Love is Blind as a whim. Met Lydia, liked that she liked rocks. Like he likes rocks. And he's like, huh, this seems like pretty solid. This seems like someone I should probably marry. Like this is a good one. I think what people fail to realize is anyone can be ready for marriage with the right person. And if you block yourself off just because you're not quote unquote ready, when the right person comes along, I think that can make you ready. And that's what Milton did. Episode 9. Episode 9 is my least favorite episode of the season. So this is where they get their marriage license and where we see the girls go bridal shopping and the guys go suit shopping. Further proof that Renee was supposed to be part of the main cast is because she's literally there at the bridal fitting wearing white, okay? Wearing white. They try to do this whole editing thing where Lydia's like, oh, who are people with me? She's like, oh, my mom, like my brother. And there's like a cut where it says like, Renee.
So who'd you bring with you today, Lydia?
So I brought my mom.
Hi, Mom.
Renee.
Hi, Renee.
Renee smiles, but like the woman next to Renee is Renee's mother. You're telling me you also brought her mother there if Renee wasn't going to be doing wedding dress shopping? And also, she was wearing white. She's literally wearing white. Nothing too dramatic comes from like the men's. Again, I think stuff was edited out here because it's very short. Usually this takes up the whole entire episode, but I guess there's just like two couples. Like it's a pretty quick one and done kind of thing. But like this is the episode before the weddings. Weddings are episode 10, which comes out on this coming Friday. And nothing is bad there. Like nothing to us has been portrayed as being bad or why the relationship would fail outside of like the Uchi and Aaliyah stuff. But obviously Milton's fine with that, so I don't really see what could be the big problem here. They usually have like their final like 2 dates before the wedding because they're 2 days out. Izzy plans this like nice cute little private airplane, like private, like helicopter ride for Stacy because he's like, she likes first class travel, private plane, so this is what I'm gonna do for her. We see another conversation that Milton is having with his family. So I think they're trying to set up that Milton might not say yes at the altar because his family is like against it. I don't think that's gonna happen because Milton at the end of the day is just like, you guys are coming though, right? And they're like, yes, of course we're coming. Milton's like, cool, we're good. I think that's it. I think he's like, I think your family can disagree with the things you do, but it depends on if they're still willing to support you. And it seems like Milton's family is still willing to support him. If his mom, dad, and siblings, his sister do not show up for the wedding, I could see Milton saying no. I don't think he could get married if his parents aren't there, but they're obviously showing up, at least from what we understand now. Of course, because we need a will they, won't they moment as we get into the wedding episodes. We have some lovely last minute drama. Our first coming a la Izzy and Stacy. I think we all knew that Izzy and Stacy's big problem was Izzy being broke and unemployed. Okay, maybe you didn't, but like that's what I was getting.
I guess I feel like I don't know if I can trust you with like the credit card stuff, because I've asked you about that before. I'm like, why wouldn't he have said that?
This conversation is very, very vague, and it basically took the whole entire 10-minute conversation before I had any clue what they were even talking about. Apparently in the pods, Stacy asks Izzy, is there something that I need to know about your finances? You're like, nope, nothing at all. Don't worry about it. Everything is good. Everything is sunshine and rainbows.
That, and then like in the pods talking about finances and debt, like, is there anything I need to know? And you're like, absolutely not. I feel like that wasn't totally truthful.
Spoiler, everything was not sunshine and rainbows. They were at the gas station and Stacy asks Izzy a simple question because he was paying with a debit card. Oh, do you not have any credit cards? Izzy makes this whole entire thing about, oh, just college. I didn't really have any, just thought it was for the best. And she's like, okay, but like, credit card points. I travel internationally, so credit card points are really useful. Otherwise, you make hundreds of $1,000s a year in order to afford our travel lifestyle, which you cannot. Izzy's excuse for why he never brought up his credit card problems is because, well, it was never an explicit conversation. We didn't have a sit down conversation to talk about finances.
And for me, I wanted to have this conversation very formal because I knew it was going to be long.
Baby boy, you literally had nothing but sit down conversations in the pods. And when you left the pods, there was other time to have conversations. So I have no clue what this man is talking about. I think it's because it looked really bad on him and that he knew money was very important to Stacy, so she would not want to have this conversation with him, or it'd be immediately no. If there is something that you think your partner would not date you for or break up with you for, that is probably a very good thing that you should bring up, because long term, things probably will not work. I don't know what's so difficult to understand about that. I am jumping to my own conclusions here. I'm just trying to make C from just knowing A, even though I don't know B, so we're just trying to figure it out. First thought, he's bankrupt, literally bankrupt, has nothing to his name. Second, he has tens of thousands of dollars worth of credit card debt. Third, he has very, very bad credit. Those in my mind are the most logical reasons for them to have this blow up or conversation, or why he felt he couldn't talk to her. We finally get to the point, and it takes so long to get to the point. It's just like, it's not bad, okay? It's just like, it's not credit card debt, okay? I just have really bad credit.
Bad credit. And even then, like, I'm not in debt. All this stuff paid. It wasn't a lot of money. Like, in total, I want to say everything was like $3,500.
Okay, to me, that feels even worse. The fact that you have bad credit over $3,500. Again, I understand that people are in very different financial situations, but bad credit over $3,500. That means he was not making payments for a very long time to drive his credit bad. If you have $3,500 in credit card debt, your monthly payments, unless he was getting it from a loan shark, your monthly payments are likely no more than like $100, $200. They're not going to be that high. But if he is someone who has a job and has had a consistent job, has never traveled, I don't understand how it got that bad for it to be bad credit. That just is not making sense to me. I feel like there are lies here, and I feel like that's what Stacy's picking up. Also, that's even more concerning, as Stacy has mentioned, she has a brand new house that's going through renovation where she needs someone to have $20,000 in cash and to be over their first class trips. If you can't even have a credit card because you have bad credit, how are we going to buy a new house? How are you going to get a car? Like, there's so many things you cannot do if someone has bad credit. Like, she never needs to get refinanced. Like, that is a life-changing problem that Stacy will have to deal with forever until Izzy's credit is better. But over $3,500, like, it's just not making sense to me. It's just not making sense to me. I think there's tons of lies here, and I guess that's why this man has to live in Airbnb. That's all I'm saying. Since Izzy and Stacy have had their chance to have their maybe why we won't get married conversation, now it is Milton and Lydia's turn. They're on their little cute date at the Houston Museum of Natural Science. It's a lovely museum. It's very cute. If you're ever in Houston, go see it. We have very nice museums. Okay, we have a whole museum district. Okay, Houston is a cultural metropol. Anyway, Houston's cute. Milton starts things off really strong, i.e. really bad.
Like in the pods, like you're not the exact same person.
What do you mean?
Sometimes you wake up very cranky.
There's a reason why I get upset.
Lydia's like, okay, you're saying I have no reason to wake up cranky. You literally don't do dishes. I have to tell you all the time to clean up after yourself. Like, you're literally a boy. You're literally a child. Milton's like, I do when you ask me. She's like, but I have to ask you so many times. So how was that actually helpful to me? Milton, not the one to let someone just have their own grievances. He's like, oh, well, I have mine as well. You're just like really, really emotional for like no reason all the time. And I feel like I can't admit things to you because I have to watch my words. I don't think I covered this, but during the whole like pod meetup thing, Milton pulls Lydia aside and is basically just like, you need to calm down, like you need to chill out, like everything's been said or done, like basically like you're too emotional. It's over. Let's move on. Let's leave. Let's exit this. There's no point in engaging with him. And Milton's right, but he could have been a little bit better when Lydia's in this very toxic, intense situation.
Yeah, like I didn't 100% like the way you handled that situation at all.
I think that Lydia handled this the best that she could given the situation. Me personally, I probably have just like removed myself from the situation. That's what Milton would have wanted Lydia to do as well. But it's very hard. Lydia has said that she's a very emotional person. She's never going to just not become an emotional person just because you want it that way. Milton is someone who intellectualizes their emotions. I used to be like this, but I've gone to therapy. So I've learned that there are better ways to handle your emotions or deal with them versus like going through an analytical, like logical perspective, because it makes it harder to engage with people, especially when they're going through those emotional moments, because you're very like, why are you like this? It's like not that big a deal, just calm down, just forget about it. But it's not that easy for people as much as we would like it to be. It's not. Like, people are emotional creatures. We are literally emotional creatures, and sometimes it's gonna be expected for people to act that way. When Milton says, I know this is going to be bad, I was like, oof. We are just like letting our resentments out left and right. I mean, it's like healthy though. It's like healthy. You should let things out before they become resentment. Resentments happen when both parties are not open and expressive about how they feel about things. And the best way to not get to resentment is to talk about it. I have roommates. I'm in a new roommate housing situation. And my big thing is like, if you tell me something, I can fix it. But if I don't know it's a problem, I'm not going to fix it, because to me, it's not a problem. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it.
I know it's not easy to like be able to like control your emotions like I do.
Oh my God, I hate that fucking phrase. I fucking hate it.
I'm not going to lie. This is going to be a very honest moment with you. When Milton said this, it honestly triggered me. It took me back to my childhood and conversations I would have with my father, where he would say something to me and I would literally start crying. And he would say, Kaya, why are you being so emotional right now? There's no reason to cry. Like, stop crying. Like, you shouldn't be crying. And in those moments, I knew I should not be crying. But when you have like a pent up emotional state, like crying is how you relieve it. Like, that's literally how your body is releasing that emotion, is through tears. And that's a natural process. Again, therapy. But that's just what happens. And I don't know, like, him saying that she shouldn't be acting that way isn't going to solve that problem. She's not going to magically overnight become a not emotional person. And I think it's on Milton to learn to accept that. He goes in and talks about, oh, well, I want to raise our kids in a way where they're not like so emotional about these things, like they just walk away and not engage. It's not that easy, Milton. It's really not that easy. Lydia reaches her breaking point from this conversation and walks off, and then cries in a corner, and the jewelry rings, which is such a flex. Like, if you're gonna cry, I saw this TikTok. It was basically like the best places to cry in the financial district. And I was like, this is like really funny. It's like a walk around there and I'm like, oh, I guess this would be a good place to cry. You know, is an even better place to cry? The museum and the jewelry wing. And you're like, look at the sparkly pretty things. And then you're having a breakdown. Sounds like really peaceful and cute. Lydia comes back and they continue to eat in silence, probably because they're like, we get to eat meals so rarely here, so we better eat this while we have the chance. If the articles and lawsuits are believed, like they are asleep and food deprived and forced to drink alcohol all the time and can never leave, according to articles, allegedly. And that's where we end the episode. Final thoughts. I do not know how they're gonna drag these two couples out into a whole hour-long episode. I'm sure they'll figure it out somehow. Who do I think is actually going to get married? Milton and Lydia are my best odds. Okay, Milton and Lydia, because I don't think their problems are that bad. Okay, I think Milton is naturally going to get older as time goes. And as long as Lydia doesn't baby him, I think Milton was highly babied by his mother and his sister. But as long as Lydia does not baby him, I can see him learn to be more an adult and responsible and to become more accepting of how emotional Lydia is in times. And I think Lydia can be less on Milton about those things and really just give him space to learn, and then separately create an environment where Milton feels like he can talk to her about stuff and for them to have more of a conversation. I think that's a big thing. I'm not saying either of them to change, but I think they can learn how to adapt to each other a little bit more. Stacy and Izzy. Stacy and Izzy's a no. Stacy and Izzy is like a hard no. Okay, like it should have been over the moment he was like no finances or like I don't have a credit card. Okay, like let's be honest, that one is a hard no. I will be shook if they get married. I'll be shook if they're together to this day. I don't believe they are, but I'd be shook if. Alright guys, I'm Kai Simone. Hope you guys like this video. This is a very, very long one. I think my longer videos do better, so I'll just try to be more cognizant of that, to like have the videos be like more 30 minutes. Hopefully this is not an hour. This might be an hour. Hopefully it's not. But yeah, give this video a like and subscribe. Let me know your comments down below. What couples do you think are gonna make it? How do you feel about like the unknown couples that we've been seeing a lot about? If you're on social media like I am, are you guys interested in a video where I just talk about all the stuff you didn't see on the show? Because there's a lot of stuff that's happening in the background. All right, enough about all that. Yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.